good day everyone. I'm Jacqueline at Fuldan.
And I am Renan.
And lastly, I am Jan Pra, Juliville Subdivision, Davao City.
It's nice to start your day with some knowledge that we share to you on how to conduct the SPT, which means Standard Penetration Test. But first, let us ila-ila ang mga instrument na gamitunon sa atuang experiment. So sa nakita ninyo guys, kami na siya nangitom kay nag-conduct og SPT. And the second is
Illustration on how to conduct a SPD. So kana day guys kay muna siya ang actual jud na happening kung mag-conduct og standard penetration test with its respective tools. Okay.
so guys, SPT is useful in finding out the relative density of cohesion-less soils.
Also, the standard penetration test is essential in finding out angle of shearing resistance of cohesion-less soils.
And lastly, it is to unconfined compressive strength of cohesive soils.
So first instrument or tool that we used in conducting the standard penetration test is the drilling equipment or boreholes. So any drilling equipment is acceptable that provides a reasonable clean hole which is at least 5 mm or millimeters larger than the sampler or sampling rods and less than 170 mm or millimeter in diameter. So the next is
So the second tools that will be used in SPD is split spoon sampler. It is a sampler for obtaining a disturbed sample of soil and consists of driving shoe. It is made up of tool steel about 75 mm long. Then the steel tube. It is a 450 mm split longitudinally in two halves. Then the coupling, that is 150 mm long, provided at the top. And the last two is the check valve and the four venting ports, that is 10 mm diameter.
And the next is the drive weight assembly. The drive weight assembly is that has a hammer of 63.5 kilograms and a driving head or anvil. It is also a guide permitting a free fall of 0.76 meters and overlift capability of at least 100 millimeters above ground.
So the next tool is the cat head. It is an operating or at approximately 100 revolutions per minute and equipped with suitable rope and overhead sheaves for lifting drive weight.
Then the next instrument is the hammer. But hammer is consist of various categories. So the first one is safety hammer. It is a closed system. It delivers approximately 60% of the maximum freefall energy, and it is highly variable energy transfer.
So the next kind of hammer is a donut hammer. A donut hammer is an open system that delivers approximately 45% of the maximum freefall energy. It is also a highly variable transfer energy. So in the right, you can see an example of a donut hammer.
So the next is the automatic hammer, the safest system that delivers approximately 95 to 100% of the maximum free fall energy and consistent and effective energy transfer that increased production.
So that's all for the equipments and tools for using the SPT experiment. So let us proceed to the procedure of conducting the SPT experiment.
And this is how we conduct the SPT or standard penetration test. So dugay kay ang video. So let's perform. Let's perform, guys. So first is drilling of borehole. Drill the borehole to the desired sampling depth and clean out all disturbed material. The equipment used shall provide a clean borehole 100 to 150 mm or millimeter in diameter for insertion of the sampler to ensure that the penetration test is performed on undisturbed soil.
Then, the next procedure is the assembling of equipment. So first, attach the split spoon sampler to the drill rod and lower into the hole until it is sitting on the undisturbed material. Attach the drive weight assembly. Then, lift the 63.5 kilogram hammer approximately 0.76 meter above the ground and allow it to fall on the anvil, delivering one sitting low. Lastly, mark the drill rod in 3 successive 0.15 meter increments to observe penetration.
So the next is penetration testing. Raise and drop the hammer 0.76 meters successively by means of the rope and cat head, using no more than 2 1/4 wraps around the cat head. The hammer should be operated between 40 and 60 blows per minute and should drop freely. Record the number of blows for 0.15 meters of penetration. The first 0.15 meters increment is what we call the setting drive. The sum of the blows for second and third increment of 0.15 meters penetration is termed penetration resistance or N value. If the split spoon sampler is driven less than 45 centimeters in total, then the penetration resistance shall be for the last 30 centimeters of penetration. If less than 30 centimeters is penetrated, the log should state the number of blows and depth penetrated. If the number of blows for 15 centimeters drive exceeds 50, it is taken as the refusal and the test is discontinued. Tests shall be made at every change in stratum or at intervals of not more than 1 to 5 meters, whichever is less. Tests may be made at lesser intervals if specified or considered necessary. The entire sampler may sometimes sink under its own weight when very soft subsoil stratum is encountered. Under such conditions, it may not be necessary to give any blow to the split spoon sampler, and the SPT or standard penetration test should be indicated as 0.
N value needs corrections. So what is corrections? The first type of corrections is the overburden correction. So, in granular soil at deeper depth, confining pressure will increase blows. If two soils having same relative density but different confining pressures gives a higher penetration number as the confining pressure in cohesion-less soils increases the depth. The penetration number for soils at shallow depths is underestimated and that at greater depths is overestimated. So as shown in the graph is the IS that encompasses 2131 to 1981. So for uniformity, the n values obtained from field tests under different effective overburden pressures are corrected to a standard effective overburden pressure.
So the next kind of correction test is the latency correction. So if silky fine sands or fine sands are present below water table and the recorded value or the NO is greater than 15, then the pore pressure increases the resistance of the soil, thus penetration number also increases. This correction is applied when the observed value of N exceeds 15. So the latency correction, this equation is how we corrected the latency. So NC is equal to 15 plus 1 half, open parenthesis, NO minus 15. So that is how we get the latency correction. So first apply overburden correction and then the latency correction.
And the applications of standard penetration tests. Sometimes standard penetration tests can help us predict the relative density, angle of interval friction in case of frictionless soil, UCS value, and sometimes you can also predict the dynamic properties of the soil. And that's all. Thank you for watching on how we conduct the SPT or Standard Penetration Test. I'm Jack Lennox Fuldan,
I'm Lemuel Nisnisan.
I am John Denver Trout, you know where I am.
and
Thank
that's
you.
all for today.